From Journey with VRD, you're listening to the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast, the number one place for spirituality, healing, and transcendence. I'm your host, Vivian Raquel Dayan. Now let's get into it. Episode of the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast, we have vegan chef Miss Taylor May Dean. Chef Taylor was our private chef on the Sedona retreat. She prepped the most delicious and nutritious meals and mocktails. Everything she created was so deeply thought out, from the vegan charcuterie board with the most out of this world homemade smoked cheese to the purple amethyst mocktails intentionalized to open the third eye and crown chakra to the main courses and desserts. What I'm trying to get at is that we couldn't put our forks down. Chef Taylor, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. What an intro. Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you so much for being here. I have to ask, just so the listener can get to know you a little bit more, where
Mm.
are you from?
I'm from, generally the Santa Barbara County in California. So it's technically called the Central Coast, but it's more near LA. It's 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours north of LA. And I'm from a small town called Santa Ynez, a very small town in near the Shumash Reservation.
Wow. And now you're living in Sedona. So do you want to share a little of how you made that transition?
Yeah, that was like really funny because I got into cooking because I really felt, I mean, I'm going to use the word cooking and restaurant industry synonymously in this like context. I basically started working in that industry because it was the most approachable for me. When I was like in high school, I worked in restaurants and delis, and I had a hard time with school. I have like ADHD and anxiety, and I don't take any medications. But I was formally diagnosed with those things from a very young age, and my mom was like not into giving me those medications. So managing that, going to school was very hard, and I basically didn't qualify to go to a 4-year college straight out of high school. So I just decided that I'm going to drop out of high school on my senior year, just because I just felt like there would be no point. And I started working in the restaurant industry. I know this is like a long answer to a very simple question, but was pursuing cooking for a long time. And then I went vegetarian when I was 14 because I had some health issues and I was trying to be healthier. And so my family are all like meat eaters, like meat and potatoes, traditional like family American foods and stuff like bologna sandwiches, like top ramen. You know those like little tiny cereals that, they used to be individual
Yes.
and very like whatever processed food because my mom was a single mom. And so cooking became like a method for healthy eating for me. And when I was cooking in the industry, it seemed like there was no one doing vegetarian, vegan food. And so there was therefore no jobs for me to access. So I started going to like community college, and then I realized that that was too difficult, and and I pursued learning about farming, and I
Mm.
joined the WWOOFing program, which is an acronym that stands for Worldwide Opportunity for Organic Farming. So I went to Hawaii, and I was supposed to be there for 3 months studying farming, but I ended up staying for 3 years, and I met a lot of amazing people. Started, it was an avocado farm, but we also had a greenhouse with like greenhouse tomatoes, and we would sell everything at farmers markets locally. And then we had another brother farm, I'd say, run by this amazing guy, the Johnson family, and they would full scale. It was a 22-acre commercial organic farm, the biggest farm on Big Island. So I worked there and I learned about, sustainability and eco living, living off the grid, using water catchment to maintain crops, composting tea. I learned all about composting. And so long story short, I just always was connected to like food and cooking and um I went to Sedona because I got a staph infection in Hawaii and I had to leave. And I was living at a meditation center for 8 months it's called the Lotus Garden Meditation Center in Sacramento. And it was really hard. It was the most depressing like 8 months of my life. And I would watch these like food videos and I worked all these really weird jobs that were pretty catastrophic. Like I became a personal assistant to this wealthy Indian family who the mom was a doctor and the husband was a CEO and they own like 3 or 4 houses in Sacramento. And I was like driving their kids to and from school in this like 1984 Mercedes Benz that had 325,000 miles on it. I was very, very poor and I was estranged from my family at that point and very much on my own, realizing that I was in a predicament with my lack of formal education, like my lack of degrees. I had really nothing to show for. I dedicated about 5 years of like learning organic farming to only be qualified to really get a job as a groundskeeper. And that was really disheartening. And people looked at me like I was uneducated, that maybe I had some sort of problem like integrating into society because we lived so simply on these farms. Like we would get up at 6:30 a.m. and start our day, and you work all day like planting seeds, pulling weeds, just doing all these things to maintain the farm, like bundling kale, weighing out the vegetables, getting ready for like a farmer's market. Like it's such incredibly hard work growing food, and we all take it for granted. And, I was really sick of living in Sacramento, and I just started to um, gather up all my skills and take account of like what I had to offer the world that I could sell as an entrepreneur. And forgive me if I say that wrong, entrepreneur. So I took account like what am I good at? And I was like, okay, I could grow food. Like I'm really good at cooking. Like I think I'm really good. I think I could
You're great.
pursue this. Yeah, and that was, I think 12 years ago, this journey started for me as a thought, a thought baby, and it progressed into like thinking like I called people. I said, "Look, I would talk to my friend. I was like, "Yeah, I want to be a personal chef." And I had this friend and she said, "Well, you have no qualifications. Like, why do you think you'd be able to do that?" And I was like, I know I don't, but I want to like, I think I'm good at cooking. I think I have what it takes. And this friend just did not believe in me. And I got a customer from like, I got these like silly little business cards and I was handing them out. And I was like, yeah, I do meal prep and, I'm a cook and I'll, do meals for you. And it was so random, like no structure at all. And this yoga teacher was like, "Yeah, I'd love for you to cook for me." Like, and she was like, "I totally believe in you." And I like made her meals and it's just like taking the step forward and believing in yourself and it was a long journey. But then I had a friend who invited me to come to Sedona to work at her Airbnb, potentially cooking, potentially doing all kinds of things. And so I took a leap of faith and I came to Sedona, and her and her husband were very successful, like with their Airbnb business. They had just like it was just beginning to boom. Like the tourism in Sedona was just beginning to like pick up. And I went and I lived with them. And like the first week, I found like a retreat, like on a Craigslist, I found someone looking for a retreat chef. And then like it kept, progressing. The wheels started spinning more in the direction I wanted to go in. But I'm gonna be honest, it's been incredibly hard. Like I feel now the last 3 years where it's easy and I have like I just find it all to be so easy. It was like really hard initially, like figuring out how to structure a business, how to do taxes, how to book clients, what do clients really want, what need am I fulfilling for them, how am I going to make profit, what are the margins, labor versus expenses, and that was like a journey that's been, 10 years in the making. And that's about how long I've been doing cooking and chefing in Sedona.
Breaking this down just a little bit, I want to highlight what an incredible journey you've been on and what an inspirational story and journey you've been on because it is hard entrepreneurship. It is so hard. It breaks you down. It makes you want to rip your skin off sometimes, if I'm being
Mhm.
completely honest. And I resonate
Wow.
with that aspect.
Yeah.
And you spoke a little bit about how when you were in Sacramento, you had a friend who didn't really believe in you. And that could really tear somebody down. And it's
Hmm.
never really, in my experience, it's never been that the person that doesn't believe in you it's not a personal thing to me, to the person they don't believe in. It's more that they wouldn't even believe that that's possible for themselves. And so
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so true. And I think that's like the sad, like this person was like a role model to me. And now that I'm like older, I see that in this person that they don't believe in greater things for themselves,
Mhm.
even though they're so like freaking talented. And that's the thing about having a dream. You have to have the gumption and the courage to like pursue it, even if the result is failure, which is a blessing. And all failure is it's the result of you trying. It's the result of you playing the game. And those who aren't actively failing in life or are un who are never uncomfortable, that's a problem.
Mhm.
That's a problem to look at. Like if you're not uncomfortable a little bit every day in what you're doing and it's all easy and you're still sitting at home or wherever you're sitting and asking why isn't there more money in my bank account? Why aren't I driving a nicer car? Why am I struggling? Why aren't my relationships working out? It's because you're not like actively putting yourself out there.
Right, you're not growing. And another thing I really wanted to highlight from your journey so far that you shared is how all it took was that one yoga teacher to believe in you, and then one thing led to another. And
Yeah.
so the power of someone believing in you is so potent. Is there anything you want to share on that?
I don't. But like what has your experience been with that? Because I expressed my story and you can see how that gave me fuel. But how has that been for you?
I would say entrepreneurship is a lonely road. No matter who's in your life, you could have the most supportive friends and relationships and family members or not. It's still going to be a extremely lonely road because nobody gets it. Nobody's in love with it. Nobody's as determined as you are.
Yeah.
And especially if you're not surrounded by other entrepreneurs or other leaders in whatever industry you're in, people don't understand the blood, sweat, and tears that go into creating your dream and turning your big manifestations into your reality.
There's a funny thing too I learned that your friends are rarely your willing customers or something like this.
Mhm.
Like it's usually like the strangers who like the yoga teacher who was like, "Yeah, I can totally believe you're a chef." Like she was happy to pay me. She thought everything I made was delicious. And then when you work for a friend, there's always so much more criticism.
Mhm.
And I just think it's a funny thing that that friends are like that, that they're like less willing to pay, like they're less, they just don't make good clients. I don't think. Have you experienced that ever?
Yes. I have one friend in particular who I remember before I even started Journey with BRD, she started she created these trays that she like painted. And I remember she asked me if I'd buy one from her, and of course I did. And one of our other friends wouldn't buy one from her. And she expressed to me, Vivian, you never know how important it is for your friends to support you because it's hard and every little thing matters. And it stuck with me when she said that. And then when I did start Journey with VRD, I did notice that my friends would want a discount or they,
Yeah.
they didn't get it. And
Yeah.
but all it does take is your belief in yourself. Like that has to be there and it has to be an unwavering, unconditional confidence that you
Yeah.
have and what you're capable of. And it also takes that one person to look at you and be like, hell yeah, you can do this. You are doing it. I think
Yeah.
for me, I remember when I hit my first 50K in Journey with VRD and so I was speaking to a mentor and they were just like, Vivian, you're not trying anymore. Like you're doing it, and that shifted everything for me because for so long it was hard and it was like climbing a building where all the bricks kept on sinking. And so I definitely get what you're saying about your journey of how in the beginning it was freaking hard. It was hard. And I resonate with the part, especially with your family and being estranged and them not understanding. And do you want to talk a little bit more about what that looks like now?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you ever heard like this term, the dark night, like going through like a spiritually like dark time. And so it's very contrast, there's like a lot of like contrast because like my family there's like a lot of addiction and in my family like my dad died of drug addiction and my sister's been like kind of like MIA for many years and she lives like a homeless person in the forest like, doing drugs and stuff and like very dark. And then my mom was like growing up like a real bad alcoholic. So I love all of them. And I feel like I had the best family in the world and that they taught me what not to do by example, which was powerful for me. And I think I really needed to learn that way. And I think God was like, she needs to learn this way. And I don't know what that karmically was in a past life or whatever, if anybody believes in that, but I do believe in past lives. And I do believe in like, there are no like accidents. And, but it's funny, like just having boundaries and saying, look, like, I'm not going to put up with this from you whoever that is, that like that sentence like no is so powerful. It's a no is a full sentence and it's transformed everybody around me and you know fortunately like my mom has really turned a whole leaf and we have the best relationship now. Like I call her every day and we just laugh our little heads off. And she's like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry for how I was. And I think when you forgive someone, like fully forgive them, the history is gone and you're rewriting things. Like the page, you've turned the page, no one's looking back anymore. We're just going forward. And I'm so proud of her and how far she's come. And it's so humbling because through other people's like struggle, you can see like with a heart full of compassion that it's really just a few bad days separating you from them. And like none of us are really as together as we think we are because life can be really fucking hard. And like giving people grace and being forgiving has something like I've developed more in my life, and I always try to be that way. And especially with like food is so like it's alchemy. Like when you cook food, the energy you're bringing to it is so um volatile. You definitely don't want to be cooking when you're angry. Like, so for me, like getting the energetics right is something that personally I want to see more people do. Like, I want it to be more in our society, like that we're using our money to like buy local products, like food, like local honey, local sourdough bread, local vegetables, like good quality oils. And so part of like having a business is like doing what I wish there would be. Like this is my vision. Like I want it to be this way. Luckily, people are like, "Oh, I want to pay for that because I also want that." Like I want to see this money go toward making the local economy better, making the environment better.
Something I love watching on Instagram that I've definitely shared with you is your relationship with your mother and how you help her with her health and with her recipes and her cooking. Do you
Yeah.
want to share a little bit about how what's healed you is now being shared with her and healing her?
Yeah, it's so cool. She loves to like make chocolate covered dates. And like just I visited her and her boyfriend last like a few months ago, and she was like eating, we went out to eat, and I feel like a big part of my learning has been like we're gonna go to a place where everyone can find an option that they like. And we go to this like kind of cool healthy place, and there's like so many options. And she orders like a sweet potato burrito, and it's like so healthy. And she was just like loving it. And I was like, where was this person, when I was growing up? Like, it's so cool to see how people change, that they can change, that we're all changing. And so yeah, like I'm personally on my journey as well. Like I'm always trying to be optimal in my life, make the right choices, like exercising and eating healthy and gardening, and like it takes effort to be healthy.
And it sounds like for you, you're not just cooking to eat, right? You're cooking to nourish and heal. You're using food as medicine because even the cooking process for you is so intentional from buying the produce to creating something delicious and nutritious out of it. It's all intentional. It's
Hmm.
all understanding, okay, not only what does this food taste like, but how does this food nourish me? What is in it that can nourish me? And then, like you said, alchemizing, like, okay, if I put this and this together, I could create a mocktail that will help you open up your third eye and crown chakra or whatever it is. So it's a much bigger process than just cooking to eat. It's cooking, it's almost like a ceremony.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's funny when people think about meditation, they go and think about meditation as like, are you actively doing it? But we're meditating all the time. Like, getting into flow state is a meditation. Thinking about someone like who you're like in love with is a meditation. So where our thoughts go is a meditation. So cooking, I think the process of cooking, like from getting the vegetables cleaning, it's all a meditation, it's all a ceremony. Like what you said is like exactly right. Like I look at it that way for sure.
Hey there, it's Vivian, and I'm briefly interrupting this podcast episode because I'm so excited to share that if you're loving this episode, then I know that you know you're going to love working with me. The types of women I support in manifesting are women who know deep down inside they're meant for more. They have a deep inner knowing that their dreams aren't only possible, but inevitable, and are done waiting, hoping, and praying for their life to get better and are ready now to take action, learn the tools, and consciously manifest the fuck out of their lives. If this is you and you're saying yes as you listen to me say this, then Instagram message me at Journey with VRD, the word manifest, or click the link in the show notes to learn more on how we can get started in manifesting your best life. And one more thing. I'm beaming ear to ear as I share that starting in May, I'll be hosting a 6 week group manifestation mastermind where you'll learn the exact step by step process to manifest anything your soul is desiring. Think about it as the last place you go to learn how to manifest the Chanel bag, the summer vacation, the better job, or even the dream relationship. This manifestation mastermind is packed with tools that you will forever utilize to continuously manifest the things that your soul is desiring. I want to share with you my favorite part because this is what makes it. Okay, yes, I am really excited about this. Okay, so the part that I'm most excited about is that at the end of the 6 week mastermind, we'll all be meeting in IRL, in real life, in New York City for a luxury five-star dinner to integrate the manifestation teachings with support of the community. Think New York City, long table, spiritual manifestation, up level dinner where we are all in person talking deeply about spirituality and all the things that we manifest. Imagine who you will be in 6 weeks. We have 3 spots left. So grab your seat before you miss out. You can DM me on Instagram, the word mastermind, or click the link in the show notes. Okay, now back to the episode. And one of the most beautiful experiences that we personally got to experience is before our very first meal together, you led a sound healing with a little bit of
An
wisdom.
ohm. Yeah,
Yes, and
a little bit of an ohm. Yeah, it was
yes,
it was like I love too like I you have a lot of people who are Jewish background
yes.
and like the prayer before the meal, offering the food to God, like as an offering, as a blessing, like, dear God, please bless this food. It changes like on a molecular level, the food itself. Like there's science backed by this. Like there's this doctor, I forgot his name, Marimoto or something, and he has this documentary called The Science of Water.
Mhm.
And it's how water is impacted by our frequency. Um, and when you put love into it, when you put good intention into the food, it changes the molecular structure of the food, makes it more digestible. And it's funny because there's like, this is like what people have been doing for centuries, like blessing the food, giving thanks for the food, like having this more spiritual connection with it that and it really I think it really impacts the actual like what it does for our body. Like, are we digesting it? Is it actually like making us well to live, or is it making us sick? And I think that like the power of belief is cannot be understated, and like what we believe often becomes reality. And I don't know how that works scientifically, but I've just seen it so much in life to where I'm like, there's something here that cannot be explained, but is in fact real.
Taking that all in and letting that integrate and sit. What was a moment in your chefing career that you realized, okay, I made it?
Um, yeah, I think the moment where I stopped having like nervousness or anxiety going into so many houses, because you don't
Mm.
know, like, you don't know the people, you don't know what house you're gonna go into. And I think like I used to be like so incredibly nervous. Like where it was just like feeling like you're trudging through mud. And it's like, I don't know if I'm even making progress. And then there was just like the one day where I was just feel like just so solid, like just
Mm.
so confident and so prepared where I didn't even need to think about anything. And I realized like, oh, I've made it. Like I've really mastered what I've come to do. And I feel unfuckwithable, frankly, sometimes. Like if something goes wrong, I'm like, I can handle it. I can be resourceful if I forget an ingredient. Like I know how to, because it's all gone wrong so many times that I know what to do.
Hell yes. Hell yes. Was there any inner work or inner reprogramming or confidence building that you had to do in order to get to this point?
Yeah, I think changing the story, like I am good enough. Like I am a good cook. Like people do like me because the story was I'm not good enough. People don't like me. I'm not likable. I'm, whatever, as a woman, like for a long time, I'm ugly. I'm, whatever the story was that kind of came up with me through my childhood or whatever. It was changing the story, and the more things that went right, the story started to change, where it's like, I am beautiful, I am feminine, people like me, everybody wants the best for me, people are gonna love the food. And sometimes it's not even about the food, it's about the people coming together and like letting them just be together and have like for you, I feel like I'm more of an accent. Like I just want to be there to like support you, like for anybody having a retreat, I'm there to support your vision and just make sure like not to fuck it up. And I trust that everyone who finds me is doing the same kind of work that I am, just differently through a different vocation, a different set of skills, and that we're all like bringing up the consciousness of people and we're trying to make, and I feel like you do that so well. Like you you're so great. Like I remember, at the retreat, how you held space for people in such a non-judgmental way. Like you provided such a container for people to be as they are and for their emotions. And I think that's a really hard thing to do. Most people, including myself at times, don't do that very well. It's more like sometimes we tell people not to feel things, or we try to come up with like excuses to divert people's feelings. But really, people just need to feel what they're feeling and needs to pass. And then you can come back and like evaluate that later. And I think you do such a beautiful job of that as a host and a person. And I just like was like, wow, like, and you're so young too. I'm like, you know? And I think that's like, I see it more in older people who've had like a lot more experience who are just like holding that energy, but you have like clearly an aptitude for it.
I think quite similar to your journey and your upbringing. The hardest times, the dark nights of the soul. I didn't have one. I've had,
Dark nights of the soul, that's what it is.
yeah, yeah, like I've had so many, and it's because of that, bringing compassion back into the conversation that I'm able to sit there and listen to somebody's story and let them be themselves in the story. Because however they're being in that moment or however they're acting or feeling, I've been there, done that 80,000 times more intensely. And it gives you, you could either be ashamed of your past, you could either be embarrassed, you could be so many different things, insecure, or you could claim it and say, you know what? I'm gonna free other people from the entrapment of their dark nights of their soul. And so I'm curious to hear from you, what's something from your past that you originally thought was quote unquote the worst thing ever, but now in your career is your biggest strength and superpower?
I like, I love that question. I think it's like for the longest time I was told I was too sensitive
Hmm.
by pretty much everyone. And I am so sensitive. Like I feel things so deeply. And you know, now like I always kind of thought, man, I really am, I thought try to, change myself for other people, but now I know it's like my superpower that I feel things so deeply because I'm very tuned in to people. Like and I notice things and anticipate things, and I've noticed how it's been a real helpful thing in reducing people's anxiety. Because if I can see it coming up in them, I could say, hey, like, can we talk about it? Or is there something going on? And, or what can I do to help? And yeah, I think it's made me a better person more than anything, but it's been something that I've been told my whole life, like, you're too sensitive. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Now I'm just like, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Right. It's like, yes, I am. And it's helped me so much in my life.
Yeah.
A question I've been asking every single guest on season 2 of the podcast is, are you connected with any of your guides, if you believe in
Mm.
that?
I like that question. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I know that they're there, but I don't know if I necessarily like know what their personality is like, or I definitely feel there's like angels looking out for me, and I appreciate them. I don't know who they are, but when actually this crazy thing happened in October last year, this woman came up to me and she gave me like this like Archangel Michael mala. And she said, I've been traveling around with this for like 10 years, and Spirit just told me to give you this. And so I just was like so touched by her wanting me to have that, even though I don't really know who Archangel Michael is, but I was like, wow, for her, it was almost like wanting to share something so deeply personal for her. And like that really touched me. And now I like keep that like I was traveling with it to Guatemala, and like I don't know, like I was carrying it on, and I do feel it has that, just the energy of it, special to me.
I definitely want to get into your Guatemala trip, but before we do, I have to ask from an entrepreneurial state or perspective, what
Hmm.
was it like receiving your first big check or your first big payment from your first big job as a private chef?
Yeah, that was the first job I did in Sedona. Like it was
Wow.
like these four women. They were really sweet. They're all older, over 50. And it was really interesting because Sedona has like kind of culty things going on sometimes, and they were all wearing white. And there was this one lady who was like the main lady who was always in white, and it was very, like outside my experience, but they love the food. And like when they paid me, I remember my reaction was like, wow, I can't believe I made this much money doing something that I really enjoyed. Like, man, if I could just do this like every day or every week or every month, like it really solidified the reality for me that it could be a reality. And so that was my reaction.
That's beautiful. And so let's talk a little bit about this Guatemala trip that you just went on, because
Yes.
I think you went very close after the Sedona retreat that Journey with VRD led. Talk a little bit about that.
As like a chef, or someone who's interested in food and travel, it's like a way to experience another person's culture through their food, and hopefully you can be open and take something back from that experience. So travel for me is about that. It's just about like becoming more educated. The trip I would recommend to anyone, it's you fly to Guatemala City, main capital. Then you go to Antigua, take an Uber, and Antigua is like a cultural pot of people, foreigners from all over the world, like tons of restaurants. There's a lot of history about the Spanish. And then from Antigua, go to Atitlan, which is the lake, and there's 12 towns around the lake. The Mayan culture is very present there. I would say that feels like the heart of Guatemala. I
Mhm.
haven't been all over Guatemala, but for me that felt like the heart of it because it's near the one of the two active volcanoes. And volcanoes have a lot of spiritual significance for many cultures. I think the Mayans included. I didn't have enough time to learn about it, but volcanoes are kind of like the entryway between the spiritual worlds, and they just hold a lot of power and energy, and they're very sacred. And so I was at a yoga retreat, doing yoga, and these lovely Guatemalan, people were preparing my food at the retreat. It was all inclusive. And their kitchen was super rudimentary. Like they did all the dishes by hand at the end of every meal, and they were doing 3 meals a day. And the food was just amazing, and it was cool. You could tell a lot about, like, for me, being a cook and a chef, like, you can tell a lot about a person by how they prepare a meal. Like, just through eating it, you could tell how they view flavor, and you could tell a lot about them. And the Guatemalan people are the nicest, most generous people I've met in my travels. I went to Brazil last year, and the Brazilians were so nice too. Like, but the Guatemalans have more of that. I feel like they have more of a culture that
Mhm.
they preserve, like the Mayan culture. And I don't know, it felt like such an honor to. I visited a coffee farm and met like this third generation coffee farmer named Ingrid, and I'd been learning Spanish, so that was why I wanted to take the trip. So highly recommend it. You should go.
It's now on my bucket list.
Yay! Yeah, send an email if you have any questions or something.
I will. Something that you said that really stuck out is how you could really tell how the food was prepared by how it tastes. And I
Hmm.
really do believe there's so much story in the food. There's
Hmm.
so much story. And I really love how curious you are
Hmm.
in culture and food and history because it really all goes together and bringing community together, people together in connection. It's really extremely beautiful.
Thank you. I think
Yeah.
we all can. I honestly, like, I want people to cook more at home and to buy more things locally from people we know and to support them with our money. And yeah, I just want to see that because I think that the world is being so globalized so quickly. Like
Mhm.
we are buying all our stuff at Costco and stuff, and which
Mhm.
is more economical, I get it. But sometimes just like meeting, like Anthony Bourdain talks about this all the time, like going to a restaurant in your town, like meeting the people, making the food or, talking to people. It's just so important. Connection's so important. We need connection. Spiritually, we need it. Like we need water.
If you could go for dinner with anybody, dead or alive, fictional or non-fictional, who would it be and why? And then I'm just going to add, since you're a chef, what food would you guys eat while speaking?
Oh, this is such a sweet question. I honestly would love to have dinner with my dad. He passed away, and I'd love to have, like, we love like eating chili cheese fries. So I'd love to do that and just hang out and talk with him. And he was a very big storyteller. He he would like sensationalize stories to the point where they were like a little bit lies. Just because he liked to like tell an exciting story, but everybody knew he was like full of shit.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's beautiful.
I would just kill to hear one of his stupid stories again.
This is beautiful. Beautiful. I love that you shared that. And I'm so sorry about his death as well.
That's okay. Like, I don't feel sorry. Like, I'm happy. Like, I feel like he's on his journey. And I don't believe that when we leave the body, I believe
Mhm.
our body is like a vehicle.
Mhm.
And when we leave the body, we keep existing.
Hmm.
I really believe that.
Me too. That's beautiful. And just to end this off,
Hmm.
what are three little bits of wisdom that you'd share with somebody who's on their journey, either just to entrepreneurship or cooking or healing?
Entrepreneurship. Believe in yourself.
Mhm.
I think it's core value, wouldn't you say? Believe in yourself. And then no matter what, even if there's no one else who believes in you, like that is like the biggest work you could do. Um, as an entrepreneur, like uh, you want to fulfill a need for your client. If you make your clients happy, that's so important. It's not about it's not about taking, it's about giving. And sometimes we think about business in terms of like taking, but if you're a really successful business, people are willing to pay just because the brand, the brand has like that integrity. And I think that's really important. So fulfill a need for your customer and you'll be very successful. Just find out what they want, sell it to them, give it to them. It's very important what the customer wants. And then the last thing, just be very kind to people. I think you're a very kind person.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I think like that's great. Like it's a even if whatever things are not like working out, like just always try to be kind to people and give people the benefit of the doubt.
Oh
But
yeah,
don't
that's
let
a
people walk all over you either.
huge one and such a great differentiation. If somebody is visiting Sedona and they want to hire you, or if they want to follow along your journey, is there a website or an Instagram that you'd want to share?
Thank you. Yeah, so the business is called Cooking with Love, and the website is my name, www.taylormaydeen.com. But if you just search in Sedona Chef, you'll find Cooking with Love is like up there. Instagram is Cooking with Love, period, Sedona.
And I just want to say how incredible Chef Taylor's food is, how the experience of just being in her presence is. Hey, if you like this podcast episode, please download it, give us a nice review, and follow us on Instagram at Journey with VRD to get all the latest and the greatest updates. Till next week.